Okay. Hey, this is Daniel. I'm in South Carolina. We just had a good event with Andrew here at a restaurant, and I have Rick with me. And so, Rick, you listened to the speech. You've been following Andrew for a while, I assume, because you got the shirt.
That's right.
Okay. When did you find out about Andrew? A little bit. What's your background, and why are you putting your support behind him?
Well, I first heard about Andrew on a podcast. I'm not sure if it was Freakonomics or Radio Lab, one of those, but he was being interviewed and talked about his book. So I got the book and the War on Normal People, which I would recommend to anybody. I found it very interesting, very fact-filled, but also with a lot of potential solutions. And what struck me about Andrew is that I don't see anybody else in the field right now who's looking at this bigger picture of the retail apocalypse, the truck driver apocalypse that's headed our way, and that I think everybody else fits pretty much into the standard politician category. But Andrew is I think really a new voice with a lot of innovative ideas, and I think that even if he doesn't get the nomination, if he can get these ideas into the debate, get people talking about UBI, about the importance of finding some way to get these people, a lot of folks who dropped out of the labor market, back into the market, that if we can get those on the debate stage at least, or in the Democratic platform, that's going to be a real advance.
Okay, awesome. And just kind of what is your background?
I'm a retired emergency physician. I've worked in the emergency departments for 31 years, and I'm retired now doing some volunteer work at the Georgia Marine Extension Service, and also I head up a group called Friends of the Savannah Coastal Wildlife Refuges. We're a nonprofit that supports the work of the National Wildlife Refuge System.
Okay, awesome. So the environment obviously is a big issue for you then? Okay. And you like what you had to say about the environment today at the gathering?
Yeah, I think that it's, again, we have an administration that denies that climate change is going on. I think all the evidence is that it's worse than we thought 5 years ago, that things are getting worse more quickly than they have been. We just had the hottest summer on record, and it's certainly not going to get any better if we don't do something about it. And I think his ideas are that it has to be one of the primary things we tackle, and it ties in with all the other things he's talked about, because some of the new jobs that are going to be created are going to be in the renewable energy field, that we've got to be training people to do that. We should be the world leader in it. China is clearly the world leader in renewables now. I think it was a real mistake for us to give that up, and I think we need to work hard to get back to the leadership in that.
Okay. And then how do you feel about nuclear energy as one of the solutions for solving climate change? Because our nuclear energy has come a long way since like the 1960s, and it's much cleaner, and we're able to produce more energy with it.
I agree. The problem now has been the cost. We've had two plants, one in South Carolina, one in Georgia, that have had multi-billion-dollar and multi-year overruns in their construction. I think the key to going forward with nuclear energy is smaller reactors that may be city size, to operate a city, rather than these huge multi-billion-dollar projects that take forever and seem to get stalled and get stuck. I've been paying for the new plant down in Georgia for years, and it's still years away from ever producing any electricity. But I think that nuclear has got to be an important part of the deal, that until we come up with a way to do fusion, which I don't know when if ever that's going to happen. But I think the idea of smaller reactors, more spread out, is going to be the way to go.
Have you heard of thorium nuclear energy yet?
I don't recall hearing that about it. No.
Okay, it's a cleaner nuclear solution. But so the last question for you though, here in South Carolina, what do you think needs to happen, or what can happen for Andrew Yang to connect with voters to get the primary in South Carolina, and he's not connecting with older people yet? So what are your thoughts on those two things?
Well, I think I'm from Georgia, actually, so I'm not as familiar with the local climate in South Carolina. I don't think it's all that different, although Georgia's pretty solid red. I don't imagine that Mr. Yang's going to be spending much time in Georgia. But I think things like this, I mean, there were 100 people there. That was more than I expected that were going to show up in a little restaurant like this. I think getting that kind of word out, getting around, keeping his policies out there. I mean, he's got all of these policies on the website, which I think is great. We can put up these solutions to all sorts of different issues that appeal to people, all different kinds of people. How he's going to attract more older? Well, I'm almost 70, so I guess I'm probably not in his main demographic right now. But I think that it's sometimes when people come around with younger folks with these big ideas, can be a little bit threatening to folks. We are fortunate, a lot of us who are older, who are not quite as at risk for climate change or these other economic changes, that's going to come after our time. But I certainly worry about my grandkids and what's going to happen to what kind of a world we're going to be leaving for them. But I think that's one way to approach, I think, older folks, is to think about the legacy. What are we leaving for our kids and grandkids? And that I think Andrew has some very innovative ideas that are a way to hopefully be able to deal with this and not be stuck with the same old deadlock in DC that we're stuck with now.
Okay, awesome. Well, I know that the Atlanta gang is strong. There's South Carolina, there's bugs. You can't see them, but there's bugs. Anyway,
it's a South Carolina state bird. So
yeah, is it? Okay. So Atlanta, Georgia. Lacey heads up the gang in Atlanta, Georgia. So what part of Georgia are you from?
Savannah.
Savannah. Okay. So that's just across the border there.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I figured this was as close as he was going to get to Savannah, so I better come up and see him here.
I gotcha. Well, it's almost the same area. It's just different state.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for interviewing with me. Take care, and Yang Gang all the way. Donate to the channel. Donate to Andrew Yang, and let's get him to be the president of this United States. Take care, everyone. Bye.